Well, this week is the latest episode of Hot Topics, where we cover not only a life update, but some of the hottest topics in cosmetic medicine and plastic surgery. And this week's topics are sizzling hot. Today, I'm joined, as usual, on Hot Topics with Desiree, who's my social media manager.
Hello.
So we're leaving for Paris. I'm leaving on Monday. So this is like literally poison that you're putting on your skin. And it's poison because literally you can't tolerate more than a quarter of your face being done at a time. Otherwise, you can die from it. Do you have friends who are your age who have done too much filler? Or people you know. Let's not say friends because I don't want you to, any of your friends to. So let's talk with former President Donald Trump and his hair. It does create lines, but though because the actual color
actually have been supplemented.
Medicine and really of looking at masters in medical aesthetics. It only takes 2 minutes a day and it Okay, so today I'm joined, as usual, on Hot Topics with Desiree, who's my social media manager.
Hello.
She's an administrative assistant here at Youn Plastic Surgery, and she monitors everything that's going on.
Yes.
How have you been?
Good. How are you?
It's been a few weeks, I think, since we've done a Hot Topics episode. Anything new going on in your life?
No, not for me. I've just been enjoying this kind of nice weather that we've been having. That's it.
Do you have plans this summer? Anything fun?
I'm going on a cruise
in
July. Yeah. I'm
Where are you
going to the Bahamas. Oh, I forgot the other places, but two other places.
So a Caribbean cruise. What cruise line are you going on?
Royal Caribbean.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I've done cruises. When my kids were young, we did a lot of cruises with them because it was easy. And then we go with my parents because they're older. So I've done Carnival, which I would not recommend. We did Royal Caribbean, Norwegian. We did the Disney cruise.
Oh,
yeah.
How is that?
Disney cruise, if you're an adult and you like Disney stuff, then it's good. But if you're a kid, the problem is they've got, like one of the big things on cruise ships is like the pool. Like everything kind of revolves around the pool. The problem with the Disney cruise is they've got these little pools, like bunches of them for the kids. And they're like the size of like a hot tub. But you've got like 20 kids bobbing up and down in this brown water in each of these. And like, and I'm not exaggerating. It's literally they can't swim. They got to just bob up and down because there's so many of them. And so then you've got like the family area, which is like insanely crowded. And then the adults area where it's like empty. Like there's nobody. And so we always had the kids. And so we were stuck in the family area. The food actually I found was really good on those. Actually, the food on Royal Caribbean I thought was good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, and nightlife is good. There's a lot of stuff to do. I didn't like Carnival because I felt like it was filled with a lot of like middle-aged professionals who are there to like party and relive their college years.
Oh gosh.
And it's like 55-year-old men being like, drink, and it's like, okay, I'm kind of beyond, that's not my thing, but you have a good time.
Yeah.
I thought Royal Caribbean's great.
Yeah.
Have you been on cruises before?
I've been on like 2 of them and they've been Royal Caribbean. I've had fun.
It's good. I mean, I like Royal Caribbean. Yeah, that's
bad.
good. Yeah, we've had, my son he's graduating high school in just a few days. So we've had a lot of crazy stuff going on with preparing for that. He's going to University of Michigan.
Oh,
where did you go to college?
I went to Wayne.
Wayne? Okay.
Yeah, Wayne State.
Yeah, he's going to University of Michigan. So we're really proud of him. He thought about going out of state.
Okay.
So he thought about going to California. We went and visited San Diego, UC San Diego, which he got into and just really wasn't his thing. So I'm excited for him. Are you a Michigan State or a University of Michigan person?
I don't care.
Not either.
I do not care. I mean, my best friend, she went to MSU. So I'm going to say MSU, but I don't have.
So here in Michigan, if you're listening, you're not a Michigander, then it's like you're either a Michigan family or a Michigan State family. I've always been a Michigan State family because that's where I went to medical school. But academically, honestly, Michigan's stronger.
Yeah.
And so when my son was like, he got into both, I'm like, yeah, I should go to Michigan. And he's excited to go. So other than that, that's huge right now. We're going to be going actually on vacation in a few days to Paris.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, we're bringing the kids. That was their first overseas trip when they were like, I think 6 and 4 or something. No. Maybe 7 and 5.
Do you think they remember it?
No. And that's the thing is I was like, oh, my son's graduating high school. And I'm like, you know what? why don't, now that he's graduating, like, why don't we just do this? Like, it'll be kind of like full circle.
Yeah, relive it.
Yeah, because that was the first one, and then we'll come back, and I think they'll have a good time. I think it's kind of like memories a lot of times. Like, you get told enough times, like, stories, and you think you remember them, and you don't know, is this like a conjured memory just because people say that they're, or is it really, do you actually remember it? And I think in their minds, like, there are stories we tell them, and I think they kind of remember that, but it's probably just more of the stories.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we're leaving for Paris. We're leaving on Monday. So we're leaving in 5 days, something like that. Yeah. So my wife's freaking out because it's like so much to get ready, and then graduation and stuff. So we've got a lot of interesting stories to comment on the hot topics this week. We've got a number of celebrities. We're also going to talk about a couple of very prominent politicians, but let's start with phenol peels. Did you see the video I sent you on phenol peels?
I did.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
So when you look at so what is a phenol peel? Well, there are chemical peels that we do in the office. And the way I describe it is chemical peels can be anything from a really mild peel, like a lunchtime peel. Have you had any of those in the office?
No,
like
I
the
haven't.
micro peels, where literally it's like a light exfoliation of your skin. You do it over essentially a lunch hour. It will exfoliate your skin. It's going to feel a little smoother. Sometimes you combine that with dermaplaning, and there's no downtime to that. And then from there are peels. I kind of would look at it as a stepwise fashion. So like you've got the micro peels, or like the no downtime peels, the lunchtime stuff. And then a step up from that is going to be like the lighter peels, but you can get maybe 1 to 3 days of peeling. So here we do like what's called a Jesner's peel. There's one from Zeo Skin Health called a 3-step peel. And these are peels where the acid's a little bit stronger. Maybe you may add like some retinoids with it, and people peel for a few days, 1 to 3 days. And essentially what you're doing is you're getting a more aggressive exfoliation, and it might be getting to the very superficial part of the dermis, which is kind of the deeper portion of the skin. And in general, when you look at chemical peels, what you're doing is you're putting an acid on the skin. The acid will then react with the proteins in your skin, causing essentially cellular damage. And then that skin will peel off due to those damaged proteins. And then you get new skin that grows in essentially in its place. And in general, the deeper the peel, the more of a change you're going to get. And it's pretty straightforward. If you've got, the longer the downtime, the deeper the peel, the more of a change you're going to get. And so you've got those micro peels that are no downtime, light exfoliation. You won't really see much, but you might feel a little smoother. Then you go up and from there to like the 1 to 3 day downtime chemical peels. Like I said, here we have the Jesner's. That's probably the most common one.
Yeah.
And you're talking cost-wise, like for a micro peel, it's maybe $100 to $200. For a Jesner's peel, I think it's maybe like around $400 here.
I think so, yeah.
And then from there, then we go up to a more of a moderate depth chemical peel. And the one that we do here is called the controlled depth peel. And that you get anywhere from a 5 to 8 or 9 day peeling with that. So that now you're talking longer peeling. Now you're talking that peel is going down into what we call the superficial dermis. So it's getting into that deeper skin layer, but not so deep that you have issues with, potential issues with pigmentation or scarring or anything like that. And so usually that's where we stop here in this office, but that's the strongest that we do. And if you do a series of them, you can get a pretty significant change in your skin, from fine lines and wrinkles getting smooth to dark spots and stuff. But there is a level of peel above that my employees have they've never seen, because we don't do that here, because honestly, they scare me. And that's the phenol peel. And during a phenol peel, phenol is honestly, it's a poison. Like, it's phenol, it's a poison. And it has cardiotoxic effects. It must be neutralized by the liver and then cleared by the kidneys. And it's very, very strong. It can go very deep into the skin, and you have to literally do a quadrant of the face at a time. So like literally like just the forehead, each cheek, and then like the chin. And you have to separate it by a good 15 minutes. Otherwise, the person can have a cardiac arrhythmia and technically can die from it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's that serious. And you see these videos on TikTok and on Instagram Reels. And if you're wondering, just type in phenol peel and see what comes up. And literally you can see them lifting the skin off of a person's face.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
Because that literally, it gets so deep that the upper layer of skin becomes like a huge scab, and that scab lifts off, and it's like really creepy. It can be really, really creepy. But these, they're not obviously for the faint of heart. I don't do them here because I would be deathly afraid that a patient would, that I would do all the right stuff, yet still they would have a sensitivity and then have an arrhythmia, and then you're like screwed, you know? And there was actually a study that found that it was like 6.6% of patients had some type of an arrhythmia when they're undergoing this procedure. So like you're talking serious stuff. So this is like literally poison that you're putting on your skin. And it's poison because literally you can't tolerate more than a quarter of your face being done at a time. Otherwise you can die from it. So like, why would you do this?
Yeah, what is the point? I'd be so scared.
The point is honestly, the one big group that I would consider this on are people with bad acne scarring.
Okay.
So cystic acne scarring, and you may have seen people where they just have, it's just cystic scarring all over their face. And people who have that can be really, really self-conscious of it. And there just is honestly, there's no eraser for it.
No.
And in those situations, if it's really, really bothering you, then yes, a phenol peel can really make big changes with it. But it's a lot to consider. The other option instead of phenol peels that I would recommend if somebody had that type of scarring would be to do not a fractional, but an ablative, like a CO2 laser.
Okay.
You're going to have a really difficult downtime and stuff like that, but you're not going to be in danger of like dying from an arrhythmia during the procedure. So that's what I would recommend. So if you're interested, if you're listening or watching this podcast, I encourage you just go on search up phenol peels, and some of these videos will absolutely
change your perception.
They will shock you. Okay, there was another story, and I actually made a TikTok on this because I thought it was really interesting, on ghost doctors performing plastic surgery. Did you see that?
I did. And then I got nervous.
Can you explain what we're talking about here? Because people probably listen, like, what is a ghost doctor?
So it's like when one doctor says they're going to perform a surgery. So like they put you under, whatever. And then while you're under, the doctor like switches with some other doctor. And like then they switch after they're done. So it's like you don't know who actually did your surgery.
Yeah. And this is something that you may think like it doesn't happen. And I give a story. There's actually a doctor I know of, may or may not practice in my area, may or may not still be practicing or be retired. I don't want to say. But the story was that this is an ear, nose, throat doctor who decided that he wanted to be a plastic surgeon. And, there are ear, nose, throat doctors who train as facial plastic surgeons, and they do rhinoplasties and facelifts and stuff. And that's fine. You get the training and you're ENT, then you treat head and neck, like makes sense. But he wanted to be a breast implant surgeon. And so he didn't know how to do breast implant surgery because he didn't train in it. But he was the head of a residency program for ENT residents. And I know this because an old friend of mine from college actually was one of the residents at this time, and he told me what was going on.
Oh my God.
And so this guy was the head of this residency program for ENTs. He wanted to do breast implant surgery. So he started putting ads out there for breast implant surgery, and patients started coming to him, but he doesn't know how to do the surgery. So what does he do? He hires a local plastic surgeon. A young guy just comes into town, eager, kind of clueless, and says, hey, I will give you these patients. I'll do their nose job, but if you do their breast implants, and come on into my OR, and I have 2 of them, and like I'll do the nose job, you do the breast augmentation, and oh, by the way, my ENT residents will help you out during the operation. And so this young surgeon comes into town. He's kind of clueless, like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. Like, here's patients coming in that I get paid. Like, I don't have to get them. Like, they're your patients. You give them to me. Like, what a great deal, I mean, most young plastic surgeons just starting out practice would be like, this is amazing, So he starts doing these operations, and he's aided by the ENT residents. And little does he know that this ENT surgeon has the residents help him so they can learn how to do the operation themselves. So then what does he do? On the weekends, he starts this breast augmentation mill, where on the weekends, patients would come in, 2 rooms going at one time. He would meet the patient, say, hey, this is what we're going to use. And then they would go to sleep. He would leave. The ENT residents would then do the operations on the weekends, and he just would be taking all the cash. And he made a lot of money.
That's insane.
Well, so he learns then how to do this operation from his ENT residents. He doesn't know how to do anything but breast implants. And so somebody comes in and they need a lift, they get huge implants. Somebody comes in, they need a reduction, they get huge implants. And I cannot tell you how many patients of this doctor I've seen because of all the screw ups and everything.
Yeah.
eventually the ENT residents are like, look, this is unethical, like, but it's their boss. So they're in a position where, like, let's say, you work for me and let's say you see I'm doing unethical things, like, who would you talk to? Because your fear is that you're going to lose your job. And then where do you go? And with these residents, if they lose their job, like, this is a career that they have gone through medical school and, it's like,
so much time.
You're going to throw all that away. So I know my friend actually quit medicine altogether. Like, he was so disgusted by all this. He left medicine altogether, never came back into medicine. And then the other ENT doctors who were involved with the residency found out about this and they shut it down.
Good.
And that was the last, but this guy still did a lot of these operations. Or does, I don't want to say who it is. So there are real ghost doctors that are happening here in the United States. This is just, this is a story I saw come up with ghost doctors. And I'm only, an N of one. I'm just one surgeon saying, hey, I've heard of this. I don't have any, this is all hearsay. So this is stories that I'm hearing from people.
Right.
I wasn't there to experience any of that. But I've heard these stories and I do believe them. So, the real thing is, if you're thinking about plastic surgery, how do you know that your surgeon is going to do the operation that you want? It's really tough because you're going to be asleep for it. You can't have somebody monitoring it. In the end, it just comes down to trust. And you need to make sure that whoever you choose to do your operation, that you trust that doctor.
Yeah, do research.
You research them, you talk to maybe their patients, you just meet with them. And if that person seems like they're in a big hurry in your consult, or they're not paying attention to you, or they seem kind of slimy, then it's like, yeah.
Trust your gut instinct.
Exactly. So definitely buyer beware on that. Okay, so we're going to shift gears and talk about a few celebrities who have made some news on their plastic surgery. The first one is one of my favorite shows from a long time ago, and actually not that long time ago. Sophia Vergara was in Modern Family, and I thought she was really, really funny. And she was in a People magazine article, people.com, where she talked about plastic surgery. Actually, I think it was from Allure. So according to the article, Sophia Vergara is a big fan of plastic surgery. I feel like I'm going to do every plastic surgery that I can do when I'm ready, she said. I wish I had more downtime. I would have done stuff already. But because I'm in front of the camera, it's not like I can do something and then sit in my house recuperating for weeks. True that. The Griselda star shared that she has been getting Botox for a long time on her neck and around her eyes, but stays away from filler. I don't believe in filler, she said. I feel filler does good when you're really young and you want a little bit more cheeks or to plump your lips a little bit. At my age, 51, I feel it's not going to make you look younger. It is going to make you look more done. And I feel like it doesn't actually pull you up, it kind of weighs you down. So I am against that once you hit a certain age. And so a lot of people have come forward crediting Sophia Vergara for being so open about plastic surgery. She didn't say what specific work she's had done. Has she had breast implants? Has she had lipo or a tummy tuck or anything like that? But she's saying that, hey, she'll do whatever she wants to do and has no qualms about getting stuff done. What do you think about her comments on filler?
That's kind of interesting. Like, I mean, I guess I understand where she's coming from because, I mean, I feel like people my age get it like to enhance like their lips, like she said. But I get where she comes from. Like, if you're older and you get it, it can definitely make you look like you got something done, which some people that might be the goal for them.
Yeah.
But if there's other people, like they might want it to be subtle, but I feel like it is a giveaway.
Do you have friends who are your age who have done too much filler? Or people you know. Let's not say friends because I don't want you to, any of your friends to get their feelings. But let's say people that you know who are your age or you've seen who are your age who've had too much filler and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know like Kylie Jenner, but like she's the first person I always think of. Everything
but she's
is just
Kylie
so
Jenner.
overdone.
But like just like a regular person, like not a big celebrity, or are you not seeing that as much just in your circles?
I don't think I've seen it, honestly.
No. Are you the only one? Because you get stuff done here since you've worked here, but my guess is before working here, you probably didn't get anything done, right?
No, nothing.
If you didn't work here, do you think you'd be getting any of this stuff done?
Probably not.
No?
I would want it, but I would be too chicken to actually go and get it.
So if you don't, what would you, how old are you? Could you?
26.
And what, can you explain to our listeners and viewers, like what you have done?
I just have gotten Botox. That's it.
And that's
so
it.
in
So
my
you haven't
forehead,
had any filler?
No. I kind of want it though, but I'm scared.
Where would you want to get filler at if you got filler?
Just my lips.
Just the lips?
Yeah.
The lips hurt.
Not to like go crazy with it, just like a little bit of.
Yeah, the lips hurt.
Make it more exciting.
Yeah. So there is this trend towards people being very anti-filler nowadays, which I get it. So, when I started my practice back in 2004, we published an article called The Volumetric Facelift. It was one of the first articles that explained facial aging in 3 dimensions. And back then, we really didn't have hardly any fillers. We just had really collagen, which wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about injecting fat into the face to rejuvenate and add volume, and a very powerful tool for reversing facial aging. And now, since then, we've gotten all these fillers, and especially the ones that have been approved for the cheeks, and people are just like overdoing it. But I do think that there still is, I would disagree with Sophia Vergara in that I do feel that as you get older, filler can actually be more helpful than when you're younger, especially if you're looking at anti-aging. With the lips, it can look kind of unnatural and stuff. But if you're adding just a little bit in the cheeks, I think it can make a really, really big difference. And it can look very natural as long as it's not overdone.
Yeah,
and the problem is too many people get too much filler done.
Yeah.
And we have patients who come in to see us where it's like, they want more filler, and you keep saying, it's hard. You have to keep saying no and no. But I think it's the quantity that's the issue, not the actual product.
Yeah, definitely.
And I agree with her though. She says, hey, filler doesn't actually pull you up. It kind of weighs you down. That is true. Like there's people who are like, oh, I don't want a facelift, just do filler. And it's like, it doesn't do the same thing.
No.
Filler adds volume, but it doesn't lift you. Now, if you inject filler along the cheekbone areas, then it can look as if your cheeks are a little bit lifted just because your cheekbone's are a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like if you inject it anywhere, it's going to lift your jowls. There are some doctors there are some quote unquote lifts. There's something called the Y lift. Has anybody ever called asking for the Y lift?
No, I've never heard of that.
So the Y lift is basically injecting a lot of filler along the jawline, in the cheeks, as a way to literally make your face look lifted. And if you look at the before and afters, it's pretty impressive. But what essentially it does is that as we get older, our face deflates in a 3-dimensional process. And like reinflating a balloon, you can get technically some elevation of those structures if you just fill the crap out of it. Like anything, if you're adding volume, like it's going to at some point just kind of fill out. And that's what I do think we see with these types of lifts where people are injecting a ton of filler. But the problem is it's a lot. And most people don't want to spend 10 grand on filler that may go away in a year, or 15 or even 20 grand for these types of things. And so I think with filler, less is definitely more.
Yes.
And I disagree. I don't think it's just for the young people, but at the same time, I think less is definitely. Okay, so Khloe Kardashian has been branded unrecognizable as cruel trolls blame all the plastic surgery. So the reality TV star faced criticism from Disney Plus viewers over her looks in the latest episode of The Kardashians. Viewers took to Reddit to discuss her so-called transformation scene in season 5's confessional clips. All right, one concerned fan posted, Khloe looks unrecognizable in the interview sessions with all the plastic surgery she has gotten. Writing in the r/Kardashians thread, they added, it makes me kind of sad for her because she has been my favorite sister since day one.
Me too.
Other comments, it's unfortunate how bad the media treated her. I understand what that has done to her self-esteem. It's such a shame. Self-love needs to go a long way. Now, this isn't the first time Khloe has faced speculation about cosmetic surgery. Earlier this year, there were rumors of a botched lip procedure. A harsh critic commented, okay, here we go. This is not nice stuff. No, we are not okay because your alien lips take up half your face, and this is the 100th version of your nose. Let me barf. Another comment, echoing their opinion, another added, her lips are insane and not in a good way. While Khloe has admitted having filler treatment, she maintains a no Botox policy. The star had previously come clean about undergoing a nose job right before her daughter True Thompson's first birthday festivities. Besides rhinoplasty, Khloe's transformed look reflects her weight loss journey. In her own words, I openly talk about my nose job. And I think it's real obvious that she has lost a good amount of weight over the years.
Yes.
So have you seen her late? Because the Kardashians, their new season has started, and I did see her in the previous, and I was myself, honestly, I was kind of taken aback by her appearance.
It's her nose. I feel like it's just like really small. It doesn't fit like her face anymore, in my opinion. Like it doesn't look proportional.
Yeah, I think honestly, so she has gone on record saying, hey, Dr. Raj Kanodia, who's a very well-known Beverly Hills plastic surgeon, did her nose job, and she's had one. But she said this a couple of seasons ago. And I mean, her nose honestly is looking almost like, not like LaToya yet, but more like Janet Jackson. It's like, it's like
not really a nose.
Small. Yeah. And really, so how this type of thing works is that if you have a nose job, essentially what you're doing is you are removing cartilage, and you can be whittling down bone too. And she started off with a nose that was, I think, from her ethnicity on the wider side and wider than Kim or Courtney. And so she admitted having the nose job, which is kind of a reduction nose job where you narrow the nose, you probably break it in, you take off any hump, and then you remove cartilage from the tip of the nose to essentially pinch things in.
Yeah.
And it appears that she has had that done at least once, if not several times more. The problem with doing something like this, just like you said, is that the nose at some point doesn't match proportionally to the face.
No.
And the other thing is you start having problems breathing.
Oh, did she? I didn't know that.
No, I don't know, but I'm saying when you start really getting your nose smaller and smaller,
Yeah.
you can have problems breathing. The way I look at nose jobs, and I stopped doing nose jobs almost 10 years ago. So I stopped doing nose jobs. I did a lot of them early in my practice, and I think I was really good at that. I trained with some really good surgeons. I just hated doing them. But the key really, in my opinion, is you got to get it done right the first time. And if it's not done right the first time, you have one more shot in your first revision to get the result you're looking for. You cannot expect your second, third, or fourth revision of your nose job is going to make you look better. It literally means that your best shot is at the first one, and if that doesn't go right, then maybe you can get that second one better. And then, in my opinion, it becomes a slope downward, where each operation that you have is going to make your nose technically look worse, or you have a smaller chance of getting the result that you want. I have seen patients with like 6 or 7 nose jobs.
Jeez.
And when they get to that point, they can't breathe through it because there's so much scar tissue. Because each time you're doing it, most of the time you are removing cartilage. You're not adding to it, you're removing it. And that's what I fear for her, is that at some point it's like, at what point is it like, okay, now the nose has changed so much, I can't breathe well through it. And now you're trying to do fix-up stuff. And that's when man, you went too far.
It's not worth it, in my opinion. I'd rather be able to breathe than have a nose that's so small.
But I feel for her because, she has always been considered, she was always taller. She was, heavier than the other sister. I mean, how do you live life when your sister's freaking Kim Kardashian?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how much pressure is that on you? So I feel for her because genetics have given her a different face and a different body than Kim or her tiny sister, Courtney. It's like, I'm sure she has felt so much pressure to live up to the Kardashian ideal.
Sadly,
Yeah. And I think that's why she's getting this done. And it's just, it's sad. I mean, I wish her well. I think that, you hope that her plastic surgeon would say, hey, you know what? You're a beautiful person. I don't watch the show. So maybe on the inside, she's not beautiful. I don't know if she's a nice person or not, but it's like, I hope that she doesn't feel the need to have to keep going under the knife to live up to some type of beauty standard that's not realistic for
not
everybody.
at all.
Like, do you like her? You said she's your favorite?
Yeah, I used to watch it like a long time ago. And I liked her because I feel like she was the most real.
Oh, was
like
she?
Kim, I feel like, Kim is Kim. And
Yeah.
then Courtney, I feel like she's so fake.
Oh, really?
But I feel like Khloe, like she told you how it actually is. And like, I don't know, she was always like so real, just with like her weight loss journey and like everything. So it's like,
I think she's been through the most. Like, it's hard. Like I could see, and I'm a guy here, of course, but I could imagine how difficult it would be to grow up in her shoes.
Yeah.
And then to go through what she's had, and then to always have like this sister who freaking everybody talks about. And it's like, how do you,
I don't get how she does it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Props to her.
Well, talking about people who want to be in the spotlight, we've got 2 people who are running for president, apparently gone under the knife. So let's talk about them. We're not going to talk anything about politics. Okay, this is an apolitical show. But we'll start with Donald Trump. I did actually a segment on the Meghan McCain podcast. They asked me to join to talk about what I thought President Biden and President Trump have had done. So let's talk with former President Donald Trump and his hair.
Okay, I always thought it was a toupee.
I don't think it is. Yeah, and I think that's it. That, because of the way he wears it, you think that maybe it's toupee. Okay, so I do have to credit my friend, Dr. Gary Linkoff. He is a plastic surgeon on YouTube, and we recently did a reaction video together about hair treatments. And he has done some really good in-depth analysis of former President Trump and President Biden. And so I did look at that, and a lot of stuff I agreed with. So some of this is coming from him because honestly, I didn't have time to like pull up all these old photos of Donald Trump and
extensively
Joe Biden
search.
Yeah. All right. So starting with former President Trump, I don't think he's had any actual plastic surgery on his face. I don't think Donald Trump has had any plastic surgery on his face, but on his scalp, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So it does appear that probably back around 1989 or so, back before, all the political stuff came around. He most likely had some type of a hair. It's not
Like
a
a
transplant,
flap?
but it's a flapping procedure where hair is taken from one part of the scalp and actually moved up front because his hairline did significantly change. And so what that does give you, though, it gives you a scar along the front of your hairline, because literally what you're doing is you are taking scalp, you are leaving it partially attached, and then moving it into a different position. And there are different kind of templates that we can use of how to move the scalp around to try to move your hairline around. And so it does appear that he had that done back in the 1980s. And I do think that that is one reason why his hair falls the way that it does, is because I do believe he has a scar at the front of his forehead, his hairline.
Yeah.
And so that's why you don't see him with his hair coming back like this, because it could potentially reveal a scar. And so he wears the hair up front. That's my belief. And it does appear he may have had one other similar type of procedure, or maybe some hair transplants after that as well, that may have also impacted how his hair is.
Okay.
I do think his hair is all real. I don't think he's wearing a toupee. And if you've seen him when it's like real windy, you can see. But also when you look at his hair, the direction that the hair goes is a little bit unusual. Usually you've got like a part in the middle or the side, and the hair goes off to the side.
Yeah.
But you can see him, his parts are a little bit strange, and I do believe that that is a sign that he has had a flapping procedure as well. But I don't think he's had anything other than that. I don't think he's had his eyes done or anything like that.
No.
I really think for former President Trump, it's definitely the hair.
That sounds like it would hurt so bad, like the flapping surgery, whatever.
It bleeds a lot because the scalp bleeds a ton. And now the problem that you get, like I mentioned, is that, you can really change the direction of your hair. And it's not like if you comb it, it's not going to make a difference, because you've got hair that normally goes a certain direction, now is going the wrong direction. And that can be problematic. And I think that's why his hair looks the way it does. And it's kind of odd. And he always kind of combs it in a similar way, is because he's got these kind of directions of hair growth and how his hair lies. It's just not natural anymore. And so he does it that way. So that's what I think Donald Trump has had. And I think it's pretty straightforward. President Joe Biden, however, I wouldn't say he's addicted to plastic surgery, but this guy's had a lot of work done.
He looks different.
Yeah, if you look at his old photos, he looked pretty tired for a while. He did have hair initially, but then he had balding at the crown, and his hairline on the front really was receding. So I do think I don't think that he actually had the flapping procedure. I think he actually had hair transplants, and they actually, I think, are hair plugs.
Okay.
So what's the difference between the old hair transplants of President Biden had done and the ones today? The ones today are called follicular unit extraction combined with micrografts. And what that means is that back in the day, they would actually take a strip of scalp. They would literally cut it from the back of the head. And then you would cut that strip of scalp into like little sections of about 3 to 5 hairs.
Okay.
And then you would literally, like you're planting, seeds or plants, you would plant it in the scalp in the area that you want the hair to grow.
Wow.
The problem with that technique was you would get what looks like doll's hair. Now, if you've got your doll and they've got the hair, there's like, 4 or 5 like of the fake hairs that come out. And then, if you pull it back, you can look, it like looks like
bad. Looks scary.
So that's what the old grafting of the hair was done back in that day. And if you look at old pictures of him, you can actually see after that was done, how it kind of looks like that.
Okay.
So how we do it nowadays is instead of taking the scalp, the strip of scalp off the back, and plus you get a scar on the back of the head, instead of taking that strip, now we can actually harvest the hairs 1 or 2 follicles at a time, and then actually plant those hairs 1 or 2 follicles at a time.
Wow.
And so it's much more difficult of an operation because you're not just planting 5 at a time and being like, oh, look, here's like 20 and now we're done, Now you're doing literally like hundreds, but each single follicle at a time. So it looks much more natural. So I think that he's definitely had hair transplants in the past. I think he probably had the old-fashioned hair plugs. Now, as he's gotten older, some of that has obviously receded. But the other thing that I think he's had is actual facial surgery. So he used to have pretty big bags under his eyes, and those are gone. So I think he's had his lower eyelids done. I think he's had his upper eyelids done. If you ever see him, and a lot of times he's kind of making that squinty face.
Yeah.
And you can see there's not a lot of skin up there. So I think he's had his upper eyelids done. And I also think he's had a facelift.
I was going to say facelift for sure.
His earlobes appear to have changed.
Yeah.
And that's a telltale sign of a facelift is if you used to have, let's say, hanging lobes, and now they're attached, which it appears that that's what's happened to him. There are tricks. One of the things I do to prevent that is I've got a little trick, and on my patients, you'll never see that happen because of this little trick that my old boss taught me back in Beverly Hills a long time ago. But that's one of the telltale signs. He's obviously got for a guy who's 81, he's got a pretty darn sharp neckline. That's due to a facelift. So then the question is when did he have this done? I don't think he's had anything done since he became vice president. It's possible he had some work done between him leaving the vice presidency and running for president. I think there may have been some procedures done at that time, but it does not. But I think like most of it was done pre-vice presidency when he was in the Senate, where he could hide out, for a while. Once you're vice president, like everybody's watching you, so you can't get stuff done when you're president or vice president. So that's what I think he's had done at minimum. And he may have had even more than one facelift for all I know. But if I had to guess, I'd say upper and lower eyelids, facelift. He may have had a brow lift, and then obviously the hair plugs. And I do think he's had some Botox in the past as well. Although I don't think he's doing it now. Some people look at him, they're like, oh, he's making this weird face with his eyebrows and stuff like that. But everything is moving.
Yeah.
Now he may have had in the past a procedure that may have disrupted some of the muscles of his forehead. Like with old-fashioned brow lifts, you can do that. So that's possible why sometimes his forehead and his eyebrows look a little bit unusual. But I don't think that he's actively getting necessarily Botox now, because he does seem like things are, in general, everything is moving. It's not like he's frozen.
I'm going to start paying attention now. I've never really noticed before.
Yeah, that's what so then vote for whoever you think has the best work done.
Can you imagine if people actually did vote like that? Oh my God.
People vote for who they think is more attractive. I remember
this country's a mess.
Yeah, I remember
It's
my mom voted once for governor here in Michigan because she thought he was really good looking. My
Okay,
dad was
can't
really
blame her.
upset. Yeah, like he's
it's
really good
governor,
looking. Like, okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. This was another Hot Topics. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll try to do maybe once every month where we cover different topics. And if you've got a topic you'd like us to cover, you can leave a message or a comment on any of our social media posts and let us know what you think about it. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please leave a rating or review on iTunes or on Spotify. It does help us spread the word. And as always, remember to eat real food, use clean skincare, and auto-juvenate before you operate.